And on that topic, let's go with looking at this. Berbers and ancient origins of North African civilization. I've seen this video pop up a couple of times on the homepage, and I've been meaning to watch it. It's like I've just been, I'm definitely watch this on stream. So I'll check it out now. This dropped 5 years ago. Seems like a nice, informative video. I just checked a couple of minutes in the beginning. This channel seems, you know, solid, like a solid channel. So let's check this out. Let's see that North African, my people's histories. Let's see. Let's have a little look. Berbers. I think it comes from barbarian, actually.
Libya, Tunisia, Algeria and Morocco boast some of the richest and unique histories in the world. Here is the home of an enigmatic tribal people who inhabited the region for thousands of years, deeply influenced the fates of ancient empires, and centuries later would embrace the Islamic faith on their terms to become some of the most powerful peoples of the medieval Mediterranean. This latest showcase of the civilizations of Africa will be a two-part miniseries on the vibrant Berber peoples, with part 1 covering their ancient history to the introduction of Islam.
Nice.
Sponsor of today's video, Magellan TV, is the favorite documentary platform of kings and generals.
Should we skip this little part?
Magellan TV Roman is a time advices.
I say should we skip it while skipping it?
Our viewers can now take advantage of an exclusive offer. There are now users to today. Kings and Generals. Start your free trial today.
There it is. Kings and Generals.
Broadly speaking, the Berbers are a people indigenous to a huge swath of land known as Tamazgha, which stretches from western Egypt to the Atlantic coast and penetrates
the ancient land
deep past the Atlas Mountains into the Sahara Desert.
That's what I'm saying. And if you see the original Berber flag, and I only learned this the other day, it's got like blue at the, like a blue line, a green line, and a yellow line, and it represents this. Literally, this is the sea, the Atlas Mountains, the green line, and then the yellow line is the desert. It's representing this region here. This whole region.
Most of this region is incredibly inhospitable, save for the most densely populated portion along the fertile Mediterranean and Atlantic coastlines, known as the Maghreb. Never a single people, the Berbers were divided into many diverse tribes whose cultures, dialects and social structures, although closely related to one another, differ from region to region. The title Berber is an exonym coming from the ancient Greek barbaroi, sharing the same root from which the word barbarian is derived.
I was right. I learn. I learn.
While Berber is still the most common nomenclature in the West,
don't know what that symbol is though.
The Berbers refer to themselves with a variety of names in their native Afro-Asiatic languages, chief among them the Amazigh.
This is what they call themselves. They're the Amazigh, free people.
Title which typically translates to the free people.
It's the ancestors
we will
right
use
there.
both names throughout this video. Over thousands of years, Amazigh society has been molded to thrive in the harsh desert environment. Traditionally, the majority of their tribes lived by driving flocks of livestock between pockets of oases in a semi-nomadic lifestyle. Many tribes took advantage of the fertile Mediterranean coastline to establish themselves as sophisticated agriculturalists, while others took to commerce, becoming intrepid camelback merchants who braved the trade routes of the Sahara for the gold of West and Central Africa. The ancestors of the Amazigh have been living throughout Tamazgha for at least 12,000 years.
12,000 years, at least. The ancestors have been there.
However, save for the enigmatic Tefineg script used by some tribes, the majority of ancient Berbers were non-literate. As a result,
Tefineg. I wonder what that scripture is.
Their pre-Islamic history is passed together through the external accounts of foreign empires.
So yeah, they're illiterate, so a lot of it would have been, I guess, word of mouth.
The Amazigh first appear in the historical record more than 3,000 years ago in the ledgers of the New Kingdom of Egypt.
All the way back then? I didn't know this.
who
3,000 years.
frequently interacted with the ancient Libyans, a Berber people.
Stem, yeah.
Ancient Egyptians
That whole northern region, you know, like we just learned, Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco.
depicted their Western neighbours very differently to themselves, usually as tattooed, bearded and pale-skinned men, and tended to look
Tattooed, bearded, and pale-skinned men. Stem. See, that's us.
down upon them as little more than primitive, oasis-hopping goat herders.
That's how they used to look at them. Goat herders and that.
Despite that, we know that they
Literate goat
served in the
herders.
armies of
Tattooed
Ramses
and that.
as horsemen, and their largest tribe, the Meshwesh, even managed to conquer parts of
Meshwesh.
Egypt in 945 BC.
What? Meshwesh were deadly. Riding out for like Ramses and that. Conquering bit of Egypt and that. Meshwesh. Before Christ and that.
Establishing themselves as pharaohs of Egypt's 22nd and 23rd dynasties until they were pushed out
Establishing themselves in the Egyptian dynasties.
200
All of this I didn't know.
years later.
Meshwesh.
In 814 BC, Phoenicians from Tyre established the city of Carthage on the coast of modern-day Tunisia.
Tunisia, yeah.
In time, this oligarchic merchant state would expand its control over much of the Berber-dominated African
Yeah.
coast.
I learned a little bit about this, where this is where the Christianity started coming in. So you can see it's like 700 BC and that. Was that what the date was? It said it. 700 to 600, so that time. Yeah, what I learned is like they come to Carthage and started, you know, doing, you know, their stuff and that, and then a lot of Berbers didn't like them, but a lot did, and a lot converted to Christianity and that.
Some
They were
Berbers
polytheists
resisted
before.
Carthaginian rule, while many others did the opposite, enrolling in Carthage's mercenary
Yeah.
army.
They joined.
Whatever their allegiance, the lightly armoured Amaziah-mounted javelin throwers became famous throughout the Mediterranean for their mobility, speed and deadliness.
That's what the ancestors were doing there, mate. Javelin throwers and that. On horseback.
Another
Deadly.
classic civilization to come into contact with the Berbers was the ancient Greeks, who in the 7th century BC colonized Cyrenaica. The name of the region derives from a legendary lion-hunting Berber warriors known as Cyre, who according to tradition became a protector of the Greek colonists. The Greeks, in their walled coastal cities,
See, they were like tolerant as well.
intermingled with the Berber around them, sharing many aspects of their cultures with one another.
Sharing and that, yeah.
The Berbers were traditionally a polytheist
Yeah,
people,
polytheist,
with a
yeah.
pantheon deeply influenced by the Phoenicians, Egyptians and Greeks. However, the native Amazigh religion also influenced those civilizations, as Herodotus claimed that quintessential
Ancient.
characters from Greek myth, like Medusa, the Gorgons, and even Poseidon himself, had roots among the folklore of the Berbers.
What? Yeah, that's kind of blown my mind. So Medusa and other folklore tales, it says, myths, legends, Medusa, including Medusa and even Poseidon, actually come from that ancient North African region. The Berber, that's what their stories were.
While early 20th century scholar Dr. Wallace Budge asserted that the Egyptian god Osiris had his origins among the native tribes of Libya.
That definitely has blown my mind. That's shocking. That's actually shocking. The origins of Osiris find its roots back to ancient Berber tradition. That's mind-blowing, honestly.
Another prominent aspect of the Berber
That's mind-blowing.
faith was ancestor worship. A later Roman
Ancestor worship.
author, Pomponius Mela, claimed that the Berbers considered the spirits of the dead to hold great power. Today, the remnants of great mausoleums throughout the Maghreb coast are a memory of a time when the Amazigh
Mausoleums.
people looked to their forefathers for spiritual guidance.
Namidian kings.
Of a
and
time when the Amazigh people looked to their forefathers for spiritual guidance.
Numidian kings.
Let us now step back into the march of history by jumping into the 3rd century BC,
Oh.
when the iconic Punic Wars erupted between Carthage and Rome. Various Berber tribes fought alongside both Mediterranean superpowers.
Yeah.
Despite the best Alp crossing efforts of Hannibal, the Carthaginians were decisively defeated in the Second Punic War, losing all their territory
strong.
outside of their Tunisian heartland. The victorious Romans bequeathed much of the North African coast to the Amazigh tribes that had been allied to them. These tribes subsequently went on to form the United Kingdom of Numidia. This kingdom, alongside the neighboring kingdom of Mauritania, became the first true states in the Berber homeland to be ruled by the Berbers, as opposed to being ruled by foreign empires or divided into smaller
Baga.
tribal units as the Amazigh so often were. Harmony between Rome and the desert dwellers did not last long, and in 112 BC, war broke out between the expanding republic.
So yeah, that's how Rome started its expansion here into the North African region.
And the charismatic King Jugurtha of Numidia. Although the Amazigh monarch used clever diplomacy and his warriors fought bravely, employing guerrilla tactics, they were ultimately defeated by the Romans under Marius and Sulla. This kickstarted the Roman conquest of the Berber coast, a protracted effort that was completed only when Mauritania, already a Roman client state, was fully subsumed into the empire in 44 AD.
Mauritania was
During Roman
involved.
rule, many Amazigh integrated themselves into their culture, and from the 3rd century AD, many Berbers converted to Christianity.
Yes,
Among
from
the
the 3rd century. That's crazy. From the 3rd century. So the 200s. Unbelievable. They converted to Christianity all the way up until I think the 8th century, 700 something, when Islam come. They all converted to, well, majority converted to loads, like he said, loads converted to Christianity, Judaism.
Was Augustine, bishop of the Africans, converted themselves into their culture, and from the 3rd century AD, many Berbers converted to Christianity. Among these was Augustine, bishop of the African city
Augustine
of Hippo, who was one of the most influential Christian church fathers of all time, and laid the foundations of Western Christian philosophy that deeply impact the Catholic world to this day.
That's mind-blowing. Berber, who converted to Christianity, Augustine, is a church father, and a very important church father, who laid foundations of Christianity. This has utterly blown my mind. I thought this would be extremely interesting. I knew they had a Christian background, but I didn't know they were this involved. To the point that a Berber, essentially a Berber, Augustine of Hippo, had influence. He's a church father. From our ancestors, from Moroccan, Algerian, Tunisian, Libyan ancestors. It's our ancestors. Unbelievable. And to think that Osiris, the roots of that, Egyptian belief, the roots, they found it in Berber tradition. It's blown my mind. This has utterly blown my mind, honestly.
In the 5th century AD, the western half of the Roman Empire began to crumble, allowing the Germanic Vandals to conquer parts of North Africa. During this turmoil, the Amazigh were able to establish several small indigenous kingdoms in former Roman territory, worshipping a mixture of Christianity, Judaism, and traditional Berber polytheism. Many of these kingdoms persisted even after the Eastern Roman Empire reconquered the African coast in 534. However, this independence would be short-lived. as in the faraway deserts of Arabia, a new power was rising.
It's starting.
By
Uh-oh.
the time of the Prophet Muhammad's death in 632, his
This is when they expanded.
followers had conquered all of Arabia. Nearly immediately afterwards, the Muslims would storm out of their homeland
Massive
as some of the
expansion.
most efficient conquerors in world history.
Yeah.
In 641, the armies of Caliph Umar had conquered Byzantine Egypt and quickly turned their gaze westward to the fertile coasts of the Maghreb. The Muslim conquest of
making their
North
way
Africa
over.
was a long and grueling process that began in 647 and was only completed a full 62 years later.
62 years. Grueling.
Throughout it all, the Amazigh put up brutally stubborn resistance.
They fought them. They fought them tooth and nail.
Unlike the Eastern Romans, the native tribesmen were well accustomed to the fast-paced desert warfare of the
Yeah, this is a thing. Like with like the Islamic armies, they were efficient in horseback battle. You know, desert warfare and that. So when they're saying that the Amazigh were like more.
The Amazigh put up
Berbers.
brutally stubborn resistance. Unlike the Eastern
More
Romans,
accustomed to
the
it, yeah.
native tribesmen were well accustomed to the fast-paced
They're
desert
going with the javelins and that. And coming fighting them back with javelins and that.
warfare of their Arab foes, and were able to match them toe-to-toe.
Catch them.
Perhaps the greatest symbol of Berber resistance
Battle of
was
Mama.
the warrior queen Dahia, who
Dahia. They had warrior queens and that. See what I'm saying? That's the ancestors. Dahia. Legendary warrior queen.
crashed an army of the nascent Umayyad Caliphate near the town of Meskiana in 698. Nevertheless,
They fell.
she was defeated at the Battle
Yeah.
of Tabaka, and with her death, the lands of the Berbers
Wow, she must have been wicked. I need to see her history now. Dahia.
were quickly conquered,
Wicked.
becoming the Umayyad province Ifriqiya, from the word Africa that the
Africa,
Romans
yeah,
used for the same
Ifriqiya.
region.
Yeah.
Ironically,
To them, it's like all foreign. The Arabs are coming. This is they're conquering it. The African, like the native Amazigh people, are like, oh man, I want this. Fighting it tooth and nail, battling to the death.
the tribal warrior lifestyle that made the Amazigh such fierce foes also allowed them to integrate seamlessly into the new Muslim world.
They
Berbers
integrated it.
converted to Islam en masse, but for the most
Yeah.
part, this conversion was nominal at best. And despite professing a new faith, the Amazigh retained many attributes of their languages, social
Yeah, they said, yeah, man, yeah, all right, man, we're Muslim. They continued their faith.
structure,
Their
and many
traditions.
traditional practices. The Muslim force that crossed the narrow sea and famously conquered Visigothic Iberia in 711 was
Maya, didn't it?
predominantly Amazigh in origin. In fact,
Wow.
one of its principal commanders, Tariq ibn Ziyad, was of Berber extraction.
Yeah, that's what Gibraltar's called, isn't it? After, it's something like that. I read it somewhere. Tariq's like Jibul Tariq, something like that. That's what the name is.
His name lives on in the modern-day city of Gibraltar, whose name is a corruption of the Arabic word
Yeah.
Jabal Tariq, meaning
I read and I learn and I remember. Sometimes I remember a bit twisted, but yeah, that's right.
Mountain of Tariq.
Yeah,
It was also during this century
Berber.
that the Trans-Saharan trade network began expanding, linking the Arabic world to sub-Saharan Africa, which subsequently introduced the Muslim faith to many communities in West and Central Africa, such as the
Spreading.
powerful Empire of Ghana. Despite all
Ghana.
this, the Amazigh were undoubtedly a subject people. While in theory,
subjected
the
people,
Quran
yeah.
holds all Muslims equal under God, the Berbers soon found that in practice, they were still second-class citizens compared to the Arabic elites. For
Well,
example, during
well.
the conquest of Iberia, Berber
Sounds familiar.
soldiers had been put in more dangerous theatres of battle, while the Arabs were often kept in reserve. Despite this, the Berbers often received less pay and war loot than their Arab comrades. Heavy taxation was
Bamboozled them.
another budding issue.
Yeah.
Under the
pays-
Pact of Umar, Jewish and Christian communities under Muslim rule were
Jizya.
guaranteed safety, but in return had to pay a regular tribute known as the jizya or poll
Yeah. Happened to our ancestors.
tax. The Amazigh were originally payers of the jizya, but as they converted to Islam, the amount of tax revenue coming from the western half of the caliphate began to dry up. To counteract this, Arab governors of the Umayyad province of Ifriqiya began imposing the poll tax on Muslim Berber converts, indirect.
What?
Ifriqiya began imposing the poll tax on Muslim Berber converts, in direct violation of Islamic law.
That's what they get up to.
One such Arab governor was a man known as Yazid ibn Abi Muslim, who assumed control of the province of Ifriqiya in 720.
They must have hated him.
Historians condemn Yazid as a pointlessly cruel man who treated his non-Arab subjects with contempt, even branding the hands of his Berber guardsmen. This was a step too far, and the Amazigh in Yazid's employ had him assassinated.
That's what happens.
The seeds of
I'm not
rebellion
smiling.
were further spread among the Berbers, with the introduction of a sect of Islam known as Kharijism to the Maghreb coast. The Kharijites were hardline egalitarians. They rejected the nepotistic succession of caliphs that was based on ancestral kinship with the
Whoa, they done that. Said, no, we reject that. That caliphate succession thing.
Prophet Muhammad, believing that any man, regardless of descent or social status, could rule the Muslim world so long as he was uncompromisingly pious and just. They even proclaimed that, should he be holy enough, they would even accept the rule of an Abyssinian slave with a slit nose. However, the most
That's how far they went. And even an Abyssinian slave with a slit nose, if he's the right character, he can be the leader. This is what they were up to.
committed belief of the Kharijites was that if a Muslim ruler should fall to corruption and sin, it was not only their right, but their God-given duty to rise up in rebellion against them. As one can imagine, the passionate message of the Kharijites captured the imagination of many a Berber firebrand who saw embracing it as a means to spiritually justify a holy war against their Arab oppressors. The ball finally got rolling in 739, when the Gomara, Bagwata and Miknasa tribes of western Morocco rebelled against the Umayyad Caliphate. They selected an Amazigh man named Maysara al-Mitgari to be their leader, a man who, according to tradition, had previously been a lowly water carrier. They waited until the local Umayyad general, Habib ibn Abi Ubaidah, sailed northwards to lead an expedition against Byzantine Sicily, and upon
They've done it tactically. They waited. They waited. They bid their time. They bide their time. Is that right?
On his departure, shaved their heads in Kharijite fashion, bound Quranic scriptures to their spears, and marched out for battle. The great Amazigh revolt had begun.
Deadly.
Soon it spread across the deserts of the western Maghreb. The city of Tangiers quickly fell to al-Mitgari's rebel army, who executed its Umayyad governor, Umar.
Taking them out. Don't want this.
Al-Muradi,
they never wanted it.
A detested man whose
they never wanted it. They had their own thing. They had Christianity and they had Judaism there as well.
Tribute policies had previously been bleeding the Amazigh dry. The rebels then carved a path of destruction from the Strait of Gibraltar to the Sus Valley, toppling Umayyad garrisons along the way, while more and more Berber tribes joined the cause. However, a column of elite Arab cavalrymen, made up of the aristocratic elites of Ifriqiya, clashed with the rebels in the outskirts of Tangiers, halting their advance and forcing al-Mitgari to pull his armies back to Tangiers proper. Condemned for his cowardice, al-Mitgari was deposed and executed.
That's what they done. That's what they do. They agreed to do that. The Berber leaders, they agreed to do that. Yeah, leader was the water boy. Yeah, they voted him. He was just a water boy. They voted him up. He made it great, but then at the last moment he was coward. He was a coward and they had to retreat. When they got back to their camp, they killed him, replaced him. They agreed to it. Harsh, but deadly.
By the Berber chieftains, and was replaced with Khalid ibn Hamid al-Zanati, the charismatic chieftain of the Zanata tribe. Khalid was declared the Caliph in a direct challenge to the authority of the Umayyad Caliph, and immediately went back on the offensive.
I didn't know that it was like this. That they completely opposed it. It kind of reminds me of the European one, you know, in Europe when they had that time with the two popes. It's like that, but maybe a smaller scale or maybe a bigger scale, we don't know. But they had two caliphs and that. Saying the Berbers. I'm saying the Amazigh. Berbers is what they call us, the outsiders. It's what the outsiders call us, which is barbarians. They don't understand, not knowing the history. This is magnificent to learn, honestly. I knew Maghreb and you know, the whole North African region. The Maghreb, you know, that way he said, the Maghreb, the ancient name for it, which is that whole area, is, I knew it was amazing, but I didn't know it was like this. Osiris, Augustus of Hippo, a church father, that's unbelievable. It's magnificent.
In the winter of 740, his army met the Arab cavalry in a pitched battle at the Shalaf Valley, utterly crushing them and killing 10,000 Umayyad soldiers.
Crushed them. So, oh my God! Wait! I need to rewind because I've been rolling this. But look, so the new leader went straight out back to war. After they killed the last one because he was a coward and they had to retreat. The new one straight out went out fighting 10,000 Umayyad soldiers and destroyed them.
Utterly crushing them and killing 10,000 Umayyad soldiers. This was a massive victory for the Amazigh, as the flower of Arabic nobility in the Western Maghreb had been utterly decimated, and the remaining Umayyad forces in the region were in complete panic. Finally having heard of this uprising...
That's what happens when you oppress people. You see, it's kind of strange. When it was with Carthage and the Greeks coming over and stuff, it was all right. They lay it in, and then Rome was a little bit of hubbub, and then it went all right, and then deadly.
General Habib ibn Abi Ubaidah abandoned his Sicilian campaign in a hurry. He returned to the Maghreb, where he garrisoned Tlemcen and sent a plea for reinforcements. When word reached Caliph Hisham of the disaster in the west, he is said to have exclaimed the following about the rebels: "By God, I will most certainly rage against them with an Arab rage, and I will send against them an army whose beginning is where they are, and whose end is where I am."
Whoa, he was angry.
The Caliph dispatched a relief force of 30,000 Syrian Arabs to
30,000 Syrian Arabs on their way.
Reinforce the African Arab forces in Tlemcen, who had mustered some 40,000 men.
70,000?
Before long, an army of 70,000 was looking westward, ready to retake the land lost to the rebels. However, the joining of these two armies did not go swimmingly. The Syrian and African Arabs were of northern and southern Arabian heritage respectively.
They got infighting. Oh yeah, I forgot.
And ancient pre-Islamic tribal rivalries permeated between them. Despite
Let them kill each other.
Their internal enmity, the Umayyad army marched out in October of 741, meeting...
This is all 8th century. See what I'm saying? So from the 2nd to 3rd century, let's say 3rd century, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So for 5 centuries, they were like Christian... or Jews, or they had the Berber ancient way, which, mind you, what comes from that is Osiris. Oh my God. All right. Whoa.
Their foe at the town of Bagdura on the Cebu River. By now, the rebel Amazigh army had grown to a massive size, with some sources claiming that over 200,000 Berbers had.
They called everyone, all the tribes, and they come united.
Had joined the cause. It should also be noted that most of these were not professional soldiers, but
Nah.
laymen armed only with stones and knives,
Normal people, citizens and that. Nah, we don't want this Arab takeover. We don't want it. Fight it. Send even the butcher, you know what I mean? Send them all, the blacksmiths, send them all. Anyone who can fight. Got stone, got to fight it. Fight it.
making the figure
That's what it meant to them.
more plausible.
They didn't want this.
The
They don't want
African
this.
Arabs, having faced the Berbers in battle before, knew not to underestimate their foe and warned the Syrians to avoid open battle. This warning was ignored by the Syrians, who believed the rebels to be little more than a disorganized rabble that would break upon the impact of a heavy cavalry charge.
Unlucky.
However, anticipating the oncoming horsemen, the
Oh, they were
Berber
ready.
forces skirted around the enemy steeds,
Oh,
using
they were
slings
ready.
and spears to bring down their riders.
With their javelins and that. All the cavalry's in the middle, they're surrounding them. I can imagine the sight. Slinging like massive rocks on that. Headshot on that. Bang! Dead. Spears. 2 men getting taken out. That's what happens. Circle them.
The
Destroy
rebels
them.
then tied bags of water to the tails of wild mares, driving them mad, before sending them
Desert
stampeding
tactics.
into the main line of Arab infantry,
Send
which
them out.
prevented them from reinforcing
Scatter
their
'em.
overextended cavalry.
Scatter them.
The Caliphate's cavalry was eventually encircled and massacred,
Oh, crush.
while the infantry was overwhelmed by
They
the
wrecked
sheer
them.
number of the Amazirs.
They wrecked them.
Nearly 40,000 Umayyad troops were massacred at the Battle of Bagdura, making
The Battle of Bagdura. I must not forget that. Remember. Remember the Battle of Bagdura.
it one of
And I gave them a good old fucking hiding.
the most disastrous defeats in the Caliphate's history. News of this
One of the worst, disastrous defeats. Who done it? The ancestors.
victory at Bagdura encouraged more
I love history, man.
and more Berbers across the Umayyad
They
realm
all
to
started
rebel.
uprising. They
In
all started
Islamic
uprising.
Iberia, Amazigh soldiers stationed on the northern frontier abandoned their garrisons to wage war on their Arab masters in Toledo, Cordoba, and Algeciras. This revolt was eventually crushed, but it did allow King Alfonso I of Asturias to take advantage of the unrest and double the size of his domain,
Yeah.
kickstarting one of the
Crusades and that.
earliest stages of the Christian Reconquista.
Reconquista.
Meanwhile, the gains of the Amazigh back in North Africa
crusade,
were put to a
Reconquista.
halt when they failed
Crusades
to
like that,
take
yeah.
the provincial capital of Kairouan in 742, allowing the Umayyads to retain control over the eastern Maghreb. Nevertheless, the Great Amazigh Revolt had secured the freedom of Morocco and its environs.
That's what they done. Always remember. I didn't know it was like this deep. Always remember, man.
This would be the first time in history that the Caliphate suffered major territorial loss, and
The first time in history. Who done it? The ancestors.
the
Put the fear of God in their heart.
first time that an independent Islamic entity existed outside of the Caliph's authority.
And they still consider themselves Islamic and that. You know what I mean? They carried it on.
The Amazigh
Deadly.
people had regained control of their own destiny, forging a patchwork
free
of
people
native
again.
emirates in former Umayyad territory. This, however, was only the beginning. In the
Over time,
centuries
yeah,
that
many
followed, the
switches.
ancient and ambitious tribesmen of North Africa would
Yeah, they start battling and changing and
expand and unite under their own unique brands of Islam, forging some of the most powerful empires in African history.
yes.
In the second part of our history
So
of the Berbers,
interesting, man.
we will cover the rise of the mighty Zirid, Almoravid and Almohad dynasties, so make sure you are subscribed and have pressed the
Deadly.
bell button to see the
Definitely
next
need to
video
see
in
part
the
2.
series. Please consider liking, commenting and sharing, it helps immensely. Our videos would be
What a great
impossible
video.
without our kind patrons.
I didn't know it was this deep. Of the Amazigh history is. We need to look into this more. That's my people. It's where my forefathers were. You know what I'm saying? It's my father's fathers and that were. Wow. Definite subscribe to that channel. That was actually like a really great video. I proper love it. So it says, yeah, I love stuff like this about history. Me too, man. I love it. I really do. That was so good. That's why it kept popping up on YouTube. YouTube's like, yeah, check this out. You gotta check this out. It knows my mind. But yeah, this was great. This is absolutely great. Didn't know. See how deep that is? Always remember that Amazigh, the great revolt of the Amazigh people. Wow. Magnificent, man. I'll pop this in the description. Definitely check it out. Get yourself some history. Pop that in the pipe and smoke it. You know what I'm saying? That's lovely. That is brilliant video. Like I said, definitely go check out the channel. It's a brilliant channel, brilliantly made, brilliantly edited. It was just a great video. I really loved that. So definitely go give him a sub and a like. It's free and you don't have to think about it after. As we know, brilliant. I love that. Absolutely love it. That's the sort of stuff I love to see. That shocked me. A lot of stuff on there utterly shocked me. Augustus of Hippo was a Berber, an Amazigh, from Amazigh descent, who was a church father, who laid foundations of Western Christianity. Are you crazy? From my ancestors and stuff. The roots of Osiris are found in Berber tradition, ancient Berber tradition. What? We also know the oldest human being, remains human being, was found in Morocco. 300,000 years old. I think it's like 315,000 years old. It's like, what happened in Morocco? The oldest university in the world is in Morocco, in Fez. What? Deep history. Very deep, very interesting. I love that. I really do. I love my peoples.